Hello and welcome to WKNC's official sports podcast in the Den. Today we'll be doing a review of all the games that are coming up this week. I did ECU football earlier, but we have men's soccer versus Florida International, women's soccer with Utah and Western Carolina, and we'll finish with the women's volleyball season opener in the Summit Hospitality Tournament. So, let's get right into this. Get your headphones on and let's get straight to it. Let's begin with our ranked uh, men's soccer program. So they've only played 2 games so far. Their season opener against Queens, North Carolina. They took care of business with 2 goals, one for our star player Donovan Phillips and from defender Nikola Markovic. But with Wofford, they dominate 6-0, including a hat trick for said star player Donovan Phillips. Defensively, they've been able to stop their opponents from shooting since their players only got really 4 shots in and 1 shot on goal in both games total. They have had a bit of foul trouble, but that has been mostly on the offensive end. And the goalie, Logan Erb, had only 1 total save, but considering workload, that's about a 100% efficiency. Defenders, Raleigh Melania and Nikola Markovic have been carrying that load. And offensively, the teams have shown the efficiency that was expected of them, as they have gotten 25 shots on goal out of 49 total shots for about 50%, which is pretty good. Donovan Phillips and Tag Healy have been taking most of the offensive workload when it comes to total goals and assists. Those two are generally the leaders, respectively. But everyone's had opportunities to score for this team. I would say take the success with a grain of salt, as they did play Division II and low-level Southland Conference team. But this is a really good start for them because it just shows really the potential that they have to, really play lights out offense and really suffocating defense, even if, fouls are a common result. All right. So who are they playing this Friday? They're playing Florida not Atlantic International, or as we'll call them FIU, the Panthers. They have the history. Florida International has made it to the second round of the NCAA tournament for 3 of the past 4 years. Their men's soccer team over the season dominated against Omaha, but then fell back down to earth against Creighton, giving them a 1-0-1 record, so 1 tie, 1 win. Against Omaha, they were down 0-1 due to a penalty kick, but would dominate in the second half with 4 total goals. In the game against Creighton, they were slowed down and had a 1-1 tie. While their offense is efficient, they're looking to limit their 8 yellow flags and potential penalty shots that could come from it. However, they have looked dominant on defense as their opponents only have 7 shots on goals and 17 total shots throughout 2 games. Despite a lot of transfers on the team, Florida International has clearly shown that they gel well together, and it'll be a tough outcome on Friday night. Some notable players include Eduardo Mustier, who leads in shots on goal, goals, and blocks. Scott Neal has 3 assists and a goal against Creighton. And goalie Nigel Van Harven Jr. notched 2 saves total as a goalie, which I guess isn't crazy impressive, but it is, with how little the opponents have been getting in. I mean, it's good enough to pass and to have a defense that is manageable. They do, I think, have to rely a little bit on their offensive production, but they got a lot of good players with, Mustier, Neal, Pasquale, Capriati, Enrique Mistoli. I think they had that one guy that was drafted into the MLS and he returned. What's his name again? It's Michael Appia. Um, so they got a good roster. They got some players who, although there are a lot of transfers from smaller schools, they all seem to gel together pretty well. For the Wolfpack to win Friday night, they just need to keep that good momentum going. Both teams seem to have foul trouble, so playing a clean game is important to limit, penalty shot opportunities or any corner kick goal opportunities for their opponents. And I think this is something that both teams will go for. There has to be a balance between aggressive offense and clean offense. And that's something I think the Wolfpack are going to stress coming into this next game. Is going to be discipline. You know what? We got to shore up and we got to make sure that we're ready for next week when we play UNC. So this is the perfect game to kind of clear out all of the kinks, that kind of be like, all right, the fun's over. Let's get real dedicated to this. It would be really cool if they could produce at a similar level offensively as they did with Queens and Wolford. But I doubt that's going to happen at that level, even though FIU's defense is far from perfect. And this will be something that's a wake-up call for the Wolfpack's defense, as, in that first game, scoring 4 goals in one half is just something you do not want as a soccer team. And as long as they are able to just do enough to manage the workload of all the players I have listed before, and they should be able to do just fine. And I do believe they'll win, but it'll probably be something closer to like a 3-2, 2-1, where it's going to be, they'll probably have to kind of edge it out a little bit. But that's all for that review this Friday for the International. Go check it out. Our next game will be the Utah and Western Carolina doubleheader for women's soccer. All right, as I've been doing a lot of this lately, but we're going to start going back to women's soccer, ladies and gentlemen. Lost against Michigan State and Davidson. They outshot their opponents, I think, in both games and ended up going scoreless in both. Pratapaz had 1 save compared to 3 goals to Michigan State, and she did not have a goal. She didn't have a save in Davidson. It was eventually, kind of substituted for Emily Earls, who notched 2 saves in the second half. Let's see. Well, we'll start with Michigan State. Defensively, we weren't able to stop Michigan State with 2 goals given up in the first half and 1 in the second. Most of our defenders, with Aoki, Holt, Moore, and Smith, they all played 90 minutes. Bonnie Holt really had like a notable statistic, and I could see a shakeup in who could go out and play defensively in the future. In the Michigan State game, Maddie Miller led the team in total shots, but no one had more than 1 shot on goal. And then 4 yellow cards. It was rough. They weren't really. I said they were kind of the wrong kind of offense. Like, they were offending the other team, but they weren't scoring on the other team. I think we're getting the same amount of protection from our depth as we are our veterans, especially when you look at this next game. Really, we only were able to get a chance to score were from substitute Daisy Duda and Emily Wong. Were the only ones who really had notable performance. Even death piece Erica Roberts, I think she had 3 shot on goals, which the entire team had 5. So it's kind of getting a little ridiculous. I think there's definitely going to be some roster shakeups. I mean, it sucks to see. A lot of the players who I thought were going to be good, like Jade Bordelot, Mana Nataka, Brooklyn Holt, Olivia Pratapaz, things are just working out. They aren't working out. And there's definitely going to be a shakeup coming up, especially since I think the following week is when the conference play starts to kick off. I'm always kind of worried about how it's going to go with conference play for this team. Um, they so Western Carolina seems kind of like a middle of a road team with a lower, I guess, conference standing and schedule standing. As of recording, they are 1-2, heading into a tough road schedule. Did not check the Lipscomb game. How did they do against Lipscomb? I apologize. Okay. 2-2 draw, which is not terrible. I mean, that just shows they're a lot better at scoring than what I initially reported. Let's see. Yeah, they're 1-2-1 now. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Some of their notable players that I mentioned. Mila Saiska, 2 goals for the team. Sophia Gaklaski has 6 shot on goals, which leads the team by a lot. Lynn Trudell is the goalie. She managed to score a goal in, I think, that first game they played. But she also amassed 10 saves versus 6 goals. Okay, well, it wouldn't be 10 saves anymore. It is now up to 16 saves with 6 goals against her for about 73% accuracy with that. Like I said, I mean, they got no major strengths or no major weaknesses either. I think Lena Trudell is a good goalie that I think could definitely slow down the pace for NC State offensively. And I think that they do have players who can get in, and they have 43% shot on goal record. So, yes, I am a little bit worried about this game. I think kind of the big saving grace for this team is the fact that they are going to be on the road a lot. They had 3 straight games at home, and then they're going to be away for a lot of their schedule, including against NC State. So they'd be going from Nashville back home and like Kauai, and then to Raleigh, and then it's not going to be easy for this team to figure itself out and to figure out how they are going to beat them. Hopefully the death pieces get more minutes and more experience head into conference play. Again, I mentioned it. It's time to find a future for this team and to stick to it. Because, I mean, if we can get any sort of star power, anything, it would be great. It would be really beneficial to see just someone who can, like in a men's, you got Donovan Phillips and Tag Huey. You just know they're going to go out and they're going to ball every night. And NC State just does not have that player. I'm happy with what I've seen out of Nana Mataka and Daisy Duda. I think those are probably the 2 players I'm happiest about, but I still want to see the ball go into that dang net. It's not happening. Hopefully throughout the week we'll get to see a star who can actually contribute on offense or on defense. And I don't think any position is really safe. I think even the defensive captain, I mean, Holt might be fine, but Pratapaz, she's in trouble. So she also needs a couple of good games to kind of prove that she still belongs in the starting rotation. Starting rotation as the starter. I think I'll be there for that Western Carolina game. Should be an easy opponent at a lower level school, so they should win. They should win, but I don't know if they're gonna. I just don't know. Utah is on Friday. at Utah, wherever they are, like the city. Uh, Utah would have played a game the day before against Utah State. I do not know how that's gonna go. Um, Utah, for a lot of games I've seen it. I mean, they're good at outshooting their opponents by almost double the amount of shots and shots per goal against their opponents. I mean, they had played against a lower level, but even in their losses, like when I lost to Utah Valley, just Utah Valley's goalie Leah Wolf got 11 saves on her 11 shots on goal. Um, but the other two games, they took care of business and they scored real strongly. Defensively, they're efficient enough to keep games getting out of hand, and their goalie is able to keep up as well. The goalie not Aaron Gibbs. Why did I not mention their goalie? Hold on, who's Utah's goalie? Mandy Hawk? No. Dang it. Okay, I'll figure it out. A little bit later. Um, so it sucks to see how Utah's another team that could potentially beat, they could beat NC State just because they aren't absolutely horrible. Some of the notable players, let's see. Aaron Gibbs has 6 assists in 3 games. Okay, no. Aaron Gibbs is a goalie. I put assist when I meant saves. About a 2/3 accuracy. Grace Watkins has 2 assists to pair with Kelly Bullock and Julia Oka's goals. And I think their strategy in this game is just going to depend on on if they win against Western Carolina or not. What do I mean? Well, with a win versus Western Carolina, they should just work on the strengths that they discovered in that win. Hopefully, try to use it to exploit Utah. Maybe if there's anything that can differentiate themselves from what we've seen in the past 2 weeks, they should just try it out. Seems like best case scenario would be to kind of keep a rotation of all the fresh younger players and to kind of take advantage of the substitutions to try to wear out Utah, especially since Utah scores a lot more in the second half compared to the first. With a loss, I mean, I think big changes are going to need to happen. I'm not saying fire anyone, but I'm saying bench some people. Gary Higgins, he's an experienced winning coach, but the level that he's playing at now is different than what he's experienced with, say, the AAC or Lenore Ryan in Division II. I'm not sure what the winning strategy will become, but if they win, I'll probably post something on Insta. I'm far from an expert, so I'm kind of clueless to what is missing from this team. It's just like, get the play. It seems like they're just kind of there to be there and are happy to kind of take the wins when they can, but they need to go out there and score the ball and play a little bit more aggressively on offense and, take advantage of plays and actually shoot well. I mean, they shoot pretty well getting shots on goal, but actually getting the ball in and tricking a goalie. That's what I need to figure out. Defensively, just find a way to not let them kind of walk all over you and get multiple goals against you. If you could kind of cut things down, I think even if they only give up 1 goal in each of the 2 games, I think they could split it 1-1. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what else they can do, really. I just think it's time for a shakeup. Get these younger players in. I'm happy with the minutes Daisy Duda's getting, for instance. Or, what's her name? I think Erica Roberts. Yeah, Erica Roberts, Emily Earls. Just get some players in who could provide some life into this team, so they can just kind of just not be playing dead the whole time. Um, Western Carolina Wednesday. Uh, Utah on Friday. We'll finish up with the volleyball Summit Hospitality Tournament and some of the kind of notable agendas that I could see happening in this tournament, especially since it's kind of, well, I mean, I'm not going to spoil it. You're going to hear about it in like 10 seconds. All right, I guess I'm kind of running by things a little quick, but for the last part, we'll be going over the women's volleyball Summit Hospitality Tournament and just kind of how easy of a schedule it is. So, in chronological order, Akron, Army, Green Bay. You know, I guess Akron first. 0-2 all time against us. They went 11-19 last season. A lot of their season debuts are going to be against us or against the other team in a bracket. Last year, Akron had a bottom 5 defense when it comes to like kills and hits that were given up per set and blocks per set. They were in the bottom 5 of every of those statistics, usually the 5th or 4th worst. But they were able to score efficiently enough to keep competitive. However, a lot of their starting players are gone. I mean, they're the only kind of notable people who are returning are their defensive quote unquote dynamic duo with Martina Follini, who is their setter from Milan, Italy, with who's second in aces per set for her team, and then Vanessa Durrell, who's the libero, who leads the team in digs. So they have some defensive experience and star power returning. But the only offensive player who's returning of any notoriety is Gabby Brissett, who is the, I think, outside hitter from Coral Springs Senior. She is 5th when it comes to like total points scored per set. I mean, the top 4 are all gone, either graduated or transferred. She'll have to take charge in defining this team's offense, which it's a big jump going from the 5th to the absolute best. It'll be interesting to kind of see what we get, but I feel like that game could be a 3-0 domination for us, frankly, heading into the next game against Army. All right. Army, I mean, no disrespect to the Army. 16-12 last season. They had one of the best defenses in the conference. So it's kind of a defensive competitive jump, especially when you look at opponents' hits and kills per set. And they were the second highest on the team in blocks. And they do keep some of their while they don't have, I guess, all their defensive players, Juliette Myrick, their setter, is one of the best in the conference when it comes to dishing out assists, and especially since they have some good scores with Chloe Murakami, who's top 5 in the conference in aces, and then Mackenzie Lynch, their other outside hitter, who leads against all non-liberos in a conference when it comes to defensive stats like digs and blocks. So, again, a lot of their defensive identity is, I guess, is the opposite of Akron, where a lot of their strong defensive identity is gone, but they do have some strong offensive pieces that are returning. So, again, it could go 3-1 or 3-0, but I think it'll be a little bit tougher just because the team's overall better when it comes to defense, and because they have a lot of good offensive pieces are returning that will be taking more minutes and serves and scoring. And then the last team that we're playing in this series is Green Bay, who went 16-17 last season. middle of the road in most of their major stats within the conference. And by middle of the road, I mean not top five, but also not bottom five. But they do have a lot of their leading players returning. Katie Scholes, the outside hitter, leads the team with kills per set. Emma Best, with assists, leads the team. And then one at the top in the conference, the middle back, Diane Pitchelman, with hits and blocks. So I feel like each one is going to get a little bit more difficult. Akron is completely devoid. That'll be an easy blowout. Army is they have a defensive identity, but it's going to be sort of new and some strong offensive pieces. But I expect NC State to take care of that. And then Green Bay, they're not terribly crazy, but they do bring a lot of older players that are returning, and that could be the one where the nightmare scenario NC State loses. But I doubt they will. This is a perfect tune-up series to kind of define their strengths and weaknesses heading into tougher non-conference and in-conference play. There are lots of freshmen on the roster that I expect to get some reps and fill the roles in a rotation for this upperclassman heavy starting six. However, there could be some shakeups in the starting six, especially at opposite hitter. Two freshmen, Samira Dorsey and Jordan Smith. I haven't watched any of their practices. They won't let me in. But both of those are freshmen. Both of those are relatively unproven. And I think whoever starts at the beginning of the tournament may not start at the end of the tournament. And I think that opposite hitter position will be interesting to see who takes that role and runs with it. Outside hitter Courtney Bryant and Clara Fondren are both returning, but they also got some strong freshman pieces with Sarah McKinovich and Rebecca Ring, who could also take over at outside hitter if Bryant or Fondren don't do enough. I think Courtney Bryant would do enough. She was like one of the top players on the team. She would probably end up being one of the leaders, either her or Libero, who I'll mention later. But Claire Fondren was kind of the bottom in a lot of statistics. She didn't get a lot of playing time, and if she doesn't do well, Rebecca Ring or Sarah Marinkovic could come in and take over. I think that'll be another interesting thing to see, to kind of see what Akron, Army, and Green Bay kind of find when it comes to weaknesses on this team. Because I think there's a lot of strongness on this team offensively, especially since they have their Libero returner, Sydney Daniels. They have their setter, Ashley Mullen, that they brought in from UCLA, and how she was one of the top in assist stealing. So I could see, Ashley Mullen and Courtney Bryant could be a really strong duo if things go 100% right. And the middle back, Sophie Groom, she also is a really notable when it comes to digs and blocks as well. She's at middle back. But I think, looking at the offense, that's going to be what we're trying to define heading into this tournament is Courtney Bryant, I feel gets safe, but Clara Fondren, Rebecca Ring, Sarah Marinkovic, Samira Dorsey, Jordan Smith, those 5 players are going to be in rotation a lot. And I think it would be interesting to see who kind of wins out those starting roles and how the team will look like heading into their next tournament, which I'll cover in the next episode, with the Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas Classic. Overall, they win all 3. I'm not really worried about winning. I'm just worried about what the team's going to look like. And that's kind of it for that part. Well, that concludes everything for today's episode. Sorry, my voice kind of sounds a little messed up in this episode. I do have some allergies going on. Going outside is torturous. In our next episode, we'll be reviewing ECU, then looking at Virginia football. We'll be going into the Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas Classic for women's volleyball. And we'll be going into UNC Chapel Hill for men's soccer. Ooh, sounds pretty spicy. Anyways, that's all that I have for y'all today. I'll let y'all go. Have a good day and go Pack.